Hey guys, welcome to the week 10 or week 9 recap of the Commish show. Brian, Sean, sorry we couldn't get to you last week. We were just really busy. We didn't really have a chance. But there are a few teams that were rocking up until last weekend. It was you and Warner, both on 6-game winning streaks. We never would have thought we saw that out of Warner.
Starting 0-2, get 6 in a row, top of the leagues, and ironically, both of us fell this week. So.
Yeah. But
both in beatdowns.
Let's talk about the Commish show game.
Okay, yeah. We had a matchup of the Commishes, and you stuck
down.
it to me. Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
188-102.
Yeah, your guys just came and played today, Brian. I'll give you that. I was fucking blown away that Delaney Walker could get 33 points. Had 0 going into the near the end of the second quarter, and then I take a look at the scoreboards. He has a 59-yard touchdown, so that's a shit ton of points. And they went back to him literally a few minutes later. So that was awesome. Then Alshon Jeffrey, Julio Jones, Langford, everyone had a fucking good game. Your worst player was Latavius Murray, and that's just because he got hurt in the game. And he still actually put up good stats for a player, just not necessarily fantasy-wise. But your kicker fucking had 17 points.
Kicker, defense,
it was just a fucking nightmare for me. But I already knew going in it was going to be a rough week for me, and I'm okay with that because even though I lost, my Colts beat the undefeated Broncos, so I'll take that as a consolation prize.
Small win. Let's move to Warner's matchup because he was also on a 6-game win streak. And actually, a big surprise here.
The producer.
Lost the producer Andrew back there.
Yeah.
144-108. It was another one that wasn't even close.
Yeah, Andre Johnson, he had a couple targets but didn't pull on any catches for Warner. And surprisingly, finally had a quiet week from, Brady and Gronk, from what they've been able to do most of the season. So luckily, Andrew was able to capitalize that, and he actually had a lot of guys play well. Eifert had a big game on that Thursday night against the Browns. Mike Evans had a solid game, putting up a lot of yards. Breeze complementing his 52-point game from last week to 33 this week. And then other than that, it was kind of just average for Andrew's team, but apparently that's all he needed because Warner's guys just didn't have it. So, Warner did leave some points on the bench with Owen Daniels.
And you're not going to sit Gronk, though.
You can't sit Gronk, and Owen Daniels really hasn't done much fantasy-wise throughout this year. He just happened to have, a good quarter. Really, in that Colts game. So,
and then another classic Warner move is he's still playing Andre Johnson. I think he had one good week, and then everything else has been just nothing.
But it's not like he really has much depth at the wide receiver spot to really put anyone. So, understandable.
Yeah.
Moving on from that, we've got Dustin remaining 0-for, going 0-9 right now, losing to Gunners, multiple scoregasms, 133-106. Tell me about this matchup here, Brian.
Well, Michael Floyd got hurt. That could have been pretty good for the Chargers. That was a good pick. And Eddie Lacy is
not
second overall pick in the draft, and hasn't done its
thing. His last few games has just been kind of sad. And I don't know if it's due to that injury a few weeks ago when they, kind of weren't sure if he was going to play or not, and he's still not 100% healthy or whatnot. But he just really hasn't looked the same as he did to start the year. But Gunner's team really good. Rodgers put up good points. LaShawn McCoy. Ingram solid, Decker solid. Other than that, not too much happening on either side. But I do feel bad for Dustin. He
plays Sammy
Watkins and he probably wins that game. So and Derek Carr also and Cam Newton were roughly around the same points, but Cam had a little bit more. He also could have played Darrell Green Beckham, over Malcolm Floyd or. And he wins that matchup. But I think Dustin just keeps suffering from unluckiness.
Yeah, well, you look, both his running backs had 7 points.
Yeah.
Deion Lewis, as we know, out for the season. Eddie Lacy, who knows what he's going to do he had another fumble again this week. I mean, bad to worse for Dustin.
Yeah.
So hopefully he could pull it back.
Robert here is making a comeback for the season after struggling to start the season. He's now 5-4, taking Frank, you heard, down those Blossom Bums, 122-105. So Frank again, also he had some Garrett Blunt on the bench with 20. That could have helped him out instead of Ronnie Hillman, who didn't do crap against the Colts, and they just really couldn't get a run game going until late. And it was really C.J. Anderson that actually got most of those But I mean, Frank's team's solid. I mean, you can't hate the moves he made, except for Garrett keeping him on the bench. And Robert just played smart. Andy Dalton had a good game. Frank Gore had a good game. The only person was his tight end, Ladarius Green, didn't do anything, but it was enough to give him the win, and he's 5-4. And so we'll see how the playoffs are looking for him, and we'll talk about that next. We do have a playoff segment we're going to go into, but
Frank's really beating himself up too over this game because it's 2 weeks in a row where if he just shuffled around a couple players here or there, he would have won both this week's game and last week's game.
Yeah, after starting and leading the league for a little bit there, Frank was in first place. He's now dropped to 5-4. I think he's on a 2 or 3 game losing streak at the moment. So
and speaking of teams like that, let's go to Tony. I mean,
Tony's also.
We were talking about how much of a powerhouse he was. Now he's 5-4.
Also
he has no running backs.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell's out.
Marcus getting the win there, 119-104 over Tony. The silent assassin, silently creeping back into this league and becoming relevant.
Again, Marcus, I don't want to call his wins lucky, but that's really what they are. He got 73 points from both of his running backs.
Yeah.
I mean, when your team gets 119 and 72 of them from 2 players, you can't really rely on that every week.
Right. And I mean, he just happened that his players just had a really good game, and he kept Martellus Bennett on the bench, which I personally would have played him over Kyle Rudolph at this point, and he would have gotten an additional, 14, 15 points right there. So, I think Marcus is, he's got a solid team. He just needs his guys to produce, and I think he shows that when he picks the right guys and they actually have good matchups. He could be a team to reckon with. But he's creeping back into this. He is sitting at 4-5, and like we said, Tony's dropped to 5-4. Moving on to the last matchup that we haven't covered yet, a comeback win for Ray. He was down going into the Monday night game. And pulls out a squeaker, 148-145 over Mike. Show me them TDs. So Ray, congrats, moving up to 4-5 and dropping Mike to 5-4. So as you can see, the league is very close, guys. We got a lot of guys at 5-4, 4-5, minus Dustin sitting at 0-9. Everyone's right in there in the thick of things. So go ahead and tell us about Ray's matchup.
Yeah, you know what? It was a really good matchup from both teams. I mean, I don't think either of them can complain much because it was that close. Decided by 3 points. It was high scoring, 148-145. Mm-hmm. You got Antonio Brown with 47 for Mike.
Stevie Johnson's really what won it for Ray. And
that Monday night
bragging
game.
About that, having a good game. Even though he didn't have a touchdown, but he put up enough points in yards and receptions. So. Close matchup. Both these guys have decent teams, although I think Mike just happened to suffer a little bit due to Ben Roethlisberger getting hurt. But I mean, Antonio Brown dropping fucking 47 points with a ridiculous game, even though he had no touchdowns, putting up a lot of points there. Not really much on the bench that you could say they kind of made a wrong move there or anything like that. But that's how the cookie crumbles, and that's where we stand right now. So, speaking of that, we'll go into what we call this segment, the playoff push. Go ahead and break it down. What are you thinking here?
Well, we got 4 teams that are less than 500. 3 of them 4-5, and then there's Dustin 09. He's
pretty much out.
I think he's completely
mathematically
out.
gone.
Yeah, but there's 3, 4, and 5 teams. Gunner's team, Ray's team, and Marcus's team. Do you think any of them could actually make a push and then get into one of those 6 playoff spots?
Yeah, I actually think all of them have legitimate chance here to make the playoffs. I think the last 2 spots in the final top 6 are going to be up for grabs. I think it's going to come down to probably the last game of the regular season. As we sit right now, gentlemen, the projected winners bracket, the top 6 teams in, we've got Warner as the number 1 seed, sitting at 6-3. Myself as the 2 seed, sitting also at 6-3. We've got Tony at the 5, and he would be playing Mike if the playoffs were to start today at the 4-5. Both of them 5-4. And we've got Robert grabbing the 6th spot, 5-4, and we got Brian here at 5-4 as the 3rd seed. So as you can see, it's very close. They're only 1 game out of first place. Everyone's right there. Everyone right there is 1 game out of first. So even this order can completely change from 1 to 6, and then you've got those 3 looking on the outside looking in, and they're all 2 games out of it. Yeah. So It's really close right now. I think everyone actually has a legitimate chance, minus Dustin. I think he's just gone for it. But anything can happen, and this is where it comes critical because obviously a lot of players are going through buys.
Yeah.
Injuries are coming into play. So it's critical now to see how people set their lineups. They do the matchups, really looking at that, and using their bench and this is really where it's going to make the difference. If you've got a solid bench that can help make the transition. So I think everyone's got a chance. I would say if I had to eliminate someone,
I want to hear your top 6. I'm a little curious because
Okay.
I got an idea of who I think, but I want to hear from you.
all right, my top 6, and this is in no particular order, but Warner's team is going to be in there. Myself, I think you're in there. I think Mike's in there. I think Tony's going to get it. I think Robert's going to get knocked out at the end, and I have a feeling that Frank's going to squeak in there.
Yeah.
And that would be mine. I would say the top teams, 2 teams that I have on the outside looking in would be Andrew and Robert.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you. I don't think Tony's going to make it. He's getting killed by injuries. I'm going to say it's Warner, you, myself, Frank, and then Mike, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Is that 6 or 5?
I think you need one more.
That's going to be a tight one between Robert. I think Andrew can make a push.
I just don't think Andrew's team's deep enough to make it. He really needs his guys to have an amazing game for him to have a chance at winning. But if his whole team just has a decent day, I think he's always going to be on the losing end there. So I don't think he's going to make it, but he has a shot. He's got the talent there, but I don't think he's going to be there. Gunnar, I think, can also make a big push. He's put up some high scoring days, so I think Gunnar could be right there with Frank. For me, as the guys outside looking in.
Yeah, those last few spots are very.
Like I said,
everything's close. Actually, I mean,
all those guys that aren't in the playoffs as of right now, they're 2 games out of first place. The top 4 seeds, or the seeds 3, 4, 5, and 6 right now are all 1 game out of first place, and Warner and I are the only ones at 6 and 3. So it's a very tight race. I'm really glad to see such a close competitive league. It's really going to make it interesting here coming down the stretch. I believe the playoffs start week 13, if I'm correct.
Yeah, 13 in regular season games, and then top 2 seeds get byes, and then it's just knockout from there with the 6.
So as we stand right now, guys,
should be done by week 16, I believe.
Playoffs will be done week 16. So yeah, right now we're 9 games through. So that puts us about three more games in the regular season. So finish strong here, guys. We'll definitely see what it's going to look like here playoff time. And don't worry, you guys that don't make it into the winner's circle, there is a toilet bowl tournament for you guys to still have something to fight for. No one wants the sack of, so little league reference there. But so that's basically this week's recap. Again, we apologize for being really busy last week. Just a lot going on, as you know, with school, work, things of that nature. But we're still working on trying to figure out something to do with JD, even if it's just a fun segment that we might end up planning, but we'll try to get something. And again, if any of you guys want to do something, you have any ideas, do something fun, maybe we can do a league video with everyone at the end of the league, crown the champion kind of thing. Give us your thoughts, your ideas. We'll do something there. Any last thoughts, parting words of wisdom?
No, it's just everyone just make a strong push for the playoffs, see what you can do.
All right, well, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.